Hello, everybody. It is Monday, May 8th, and welcome to episode 98 of Buds and Blue Jays, your place for all things related to the Toronto Blue Jays. I'm your host, Jesse Burrell, and I'm joined, as always, by my usual co-host, Riley McConnell. And Riley, the Blue Jays go into Pittsburgh. We get the sweep. That's got to feel really good after the series that just was against the Boston Red Sox. How are you feeling, man? And what's up?
There's only one way to feel about a sweep in a well-needed time. Like you said, dropping against the Red Sox, and we went to PNC Park and did Blue Jays things, man. Absolutely demoralized the Pirates, really outscored them 22-3 runs. That's incredible. Had great starting pitching. Our bats were on fire. Like there was just too much going on to really keep track, Jesse. I really want to get right into it. You were there to experience this great series. You really picked a great ballpark, picked a great time of year, and really a great performance. The Jays really showed up in this series with the sweep, man. Take it away, Jesse.
Oh, today on the show, we are going to get all into that. We got to talk about some of the offense. We got to talk about some of the defense. We got to talk about some of the pitching that we saw for the Blue Jays in this series against Pittsburgh. We have major takeaways from the series, including Brandon Belt's heating up, Whit Merrifield's continuing to impress, Dalton Varsho hit a baseball into the river. So we got all that. And of course, I was there at PNC Park. So at the end of the episode, I'll tell you more about that and the trip that was. But first, guys, remember our show is free and we're available on all platforms. So if you're watching us on YouTube, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. We are getting close to our 100th episode, and spoiler alert, we might have a little fun, a little giveaway maybe going on for that episode. So make sure you're subscribed to the channel for when we do get there, you can be a part of it here. And if you're listening to us in podcast land, please subscribe to the channel, give it the share, the downloads, tell a friend, give us a 5-star review if that is an option. And you can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, where I was posting a bunch of stuff from the trip in Pittsburgh this weekend. So you can see all of that there, including some of the rich history that PNC Park has. It's a lot of great stuff, but without further ado, Riley, let's get into the game recaps. Let's start talking Toronto Blue Jays, and we'll give you a quick summary of the 3 games that happened here. Game 1 of this series, the Blue Jays win this game 4-0. The Blue Jays took a lead early, set the tone early, thanks to a double from Bo Bichette and an RBI single from Vladimir Guerrero Jr. George Springer had a 2-run home run to break out of his mini slump, and Whit Merrifield had 2 hits and 3 stolen bases, and Chris Bassett put together one of his better starts of the season, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, 4 walks, a little high, but 5 strikeouts. Game 2 of this series, the Blue Jays win this game 8-2. The Blue Jays got off to another hot start, scoring 4 in the first off Johan Oviedo. Brandon Belt, Alejandro Kirk, and Dalton Varsho all doubled in the first inning to be part of the 4-run outburst. And every single Toronto Blue Jay reached base twice in this game, except for Whit Merrifield. And Jose Barrios had a bounce-back start here, 6 1/3 innings pitched, 5 hits, 2 earned runs, 1 walk, 7 Ks. And in game 3, the Blue Jays gave the Pirates another butt kick, and this game was 10-1. And the king, Yusei Kikuchi, was at it again in this one. 6 1/3 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. He was effectively wild in this start, but he did get the job done. And the Blue Jays hit 3 home runs in this game. Kevin Kiermaier, Whit Merrifield got his first this season. And as mentioned, Dalton Varsho hit one into the river. And every single Blue Jay who started this game got on base as the Jays cruised to a relatively easy victory. So after the series in PNC, Riley, the Jays sit with a record of 21 wins, 14 losses. We're 3rd place in the AL East, 7 games back of the Tampa Bay Rays, and we're sitting comfortably in that second wildcard spot. So, Riley, so many things that happened in this series in Pittsburgh. The Blue Jays played so well. Where do you want to go first? Who gets your first talking point?
I mean, look, you could go so many different directions in this, sea of players that has really taken flight, man, because it wasn't just our top guys doing things. The bottom of this lineup, the pieces of this team are doing things. I want to definitely give some love first and foremost to Whit Merrifield, who had a tremendous series, hit his first home run of the season, stole 3 bases, stole third base. He was really turning back the clock in the series, made a great play behind second base going to his backhand side. Didn't turn a double play, but very, very close. He had a tremendous series, and he was hitting the ball hard. He was hitting the ball often. You said he was our only player in game 2 without getting on base twice or whatever it was there. I think 1 for 5, 0 for 5.
Yeah.
But
he made up for it in the other games.
Hey, he totally made up for it in the other games, man. He totally gets a thumbs up from me. Feels like we don't talk a lot about this guy, and for the right reasons. He really hadn't taken off, but the question of who's on second or what's on second, however that Abbott and Costello goes, for me right now, what or who is on second is Whit Merrifield right now. He's a very hot player. Espinal did not record a hit in the series. He did reach base twice, I think, via the walk. Cavan's still really platooning. You saw him on first base with Vladimir Guerrero Jr. being out. But out of those three, for me, it's got to be Whit Merrifield right now. He's absolutely tremendous in the lineup and a real versatile piece. Like I said, he had a great series in all three games, really, in all facets. He played a very well-rounded game. First home run this season, and I'm not going to say he's going to have, a ton of pops, but I expect, some extra base hits probably in the next 2 months from him for sure. He's a real bright spot in an already gleaming offense right now.
Yeah, Whit Merrifield is an everyday player, right? Like, we're done. We're past this. He's not sharing this position with Espinal or Biggio. Like, he can go out and play right if Springer needs a DH day or if there's an injury, that's fine. But Whit Merrifield needs to be in the lineup every single day at this point. Like, I don't think he has anything else to prove, Riley. He's got the track record to back it up. He's been off such a hot start. And Riley, I saw a lot of impressive things this weekend. I saw Nate Pearson throw a pitch 100 miles per hour this weekend. And the thing that still impressed me the most was Whit Merrifield's performance. You talked about the 3 stolen bases, Riley. Can you name the last Toronto Blue Jay with 3 stolen bases in a game?
I want to say it's been a long time since we had a speedster. I'm going to just throw something out there. I want to say it was like Reed Johnson or something.
No, it happened more recently than that. Jose Reyes did it a few times. Rajai Davis did it a few times. The most recent one to do it was Kevin Pillar, but he didn't do it until 2018. So it has been 6 years since we had a Toronto Blue Jay steal 3 bags in a game. So good for Whit Merrifield. And yeah, you know what? I will say, I don't want to take credit for the Whit Merrifield little surge here that he had in this series, but I was watching him take batting practice on the field before game 1. I gave Whit Merrifield a nice little round of applause after he hit some line drives. He looked at me and gave me a little thumbs up. So I like to think I motivated Whit Merrifield just a little bit to put on a good series there.
Jesse Burrell, aspiring MLB hitting coach, absolutely, yes. For sure. No, fire. He was ready for this series. Whether it was your thumbs up or pregame talks, he was ready to go, and he gave it his all, man.
Another player on this Toronto Blue Jays staff who was so nice to see finally get out and break their slump here, and that was Brandon Belt. And do you remember last episode, Riley, when you and I talked about the Blue Jays needed more from our left-handed bats? We spent all offseason acquiring these guys like Kiermaier, Belt, Varsho to really get less right-handed heavy, I guess, in the lineup. And we were talking about those right-handed hitters, or those left-handed hitters, we're just not doing enough. Well, in this series, here's what I want to take you just to game 2 specifically. And here's what the Blue Jays left-handed hitters did in this series. Dalton Varsho in game 2 went 2 for 5. Brandon Belt in that game went 2 for 3 with 2 walks. Kevin Kiermaier went 2 for 4 with a walk. Kevin Biggio even went 2 for 5 and in that game as well. So the Blue Jays left-handed hitters in that lineup got on base 11 times. The previous high this season was 6 from the lefties getting on base. So if this is what it's supposed to look like when the Toronto Blue Jays go about this here, and I wanted to show just Brandon Belt some love here because he's been striking out a lot. He leads baseball in strikeout rate, so it's not good, but he did do some nice things. 3 walks, which is nice, 6 hits, 3 doubles, and honestly, one of those doubles he hit the top of the Roberto Clemente wall, literally 21 feet on top of the hall. It would have been a home run at Rogers Center. He also got the Blue Jays' first ejection of this season after telling an umpire to clean it up after a strikeout looking. So Brandon Belt is heating up, and maybe it's just one of those things where he didn't have a big spring training because remember he was hurt. He is switching leagues, coming to the American League for the first time. So maybe this is just a bit of adjustment, and maybe this is the sign of good things to come for the power for Brandon Belt.
I mean, hey, he looked real good. The extra base hits are definitely there. Consistency would for sure be good, but 5 hits in 2 games for Brandon Belt. Hey, take what you will out of a guy like Brandon Belt, who's a savvy veteran player, who's going to contribute what he can to this Blue Jays offense. But in a series where we didn't really need the extra help, it sure looks good to cap off, let's say, and win 8-2 or 10-1. I mean, you can't really complain about that. But you hope in the more competitive games that we play, perhaps he can be a more clutch factor, things like this. You would like to see him, strike out less, maybe get on base more often. But yeah, 5 hits, drove in a couple runs, scored, I believe, 3 runs in the second game. Yep. Like he was all over it, man. Brandon Belt was all over the baseball in the 2 games he played in this series. And I mean, yeah, so the first 2 thumbs up, Jesse, are kind of not our norms. I mean, you want to talk about our non-norm players, but I'm going to say our third guy, you know, he's going to be a norm, and that's Dalton Varsho, right? Like, I mean, listen, I mean, it's Whit Merrifield, a veteran guy who has more of a chance to resurge his career than Brandon Belt. Let's be honest. Belt, he could still be very positive and you know, produce a lot of numbers offensively, but he's nowhere as valuable as what Merrifield is possibly to this Blue Jays team. But Dalton Varsho is a guy that has tremendous value to this team in all facets of the game. I mean, you said it, Jesse. He hit a ball, you know, into the I know I'm not a Pennsylvania geography expert, but whatever that river is.
The Allegheny River is what it's called.
The Allegheny River. Yeah. Well, I knew it wasn't the Nile. So he did a fantastic job in the series. I mean, looking real good. The exit velocity, pulling balls down the line. Like, he's a real good pull hitter. And his defense is still top of the charts. He's fast. And you would still like to see him, I mean, I guess, get on base more often. We can't really be too picky, though. I mean, out of the 5 tools in baseball, this guy possesses 4 of the tools, maybe minus the contact, and is very good. I mean, I'm still looking through my things. I mean, he did draw a walk in the series, which is good, because I was going to say you would like to see him get on base more, being at the top of this Blue Jays lineup. But I'm also not complaining, because of the power is there, the ability to drive in runs, driving in 2 runs on 2 hits in the 10-1 ball game. I mean, and defensively, Dalton Varsho, huge plus, man. I mean, he's not a guy that we have talked about on this show a ton compared to our Bows, our Vladdies, our Gosmans, whoever. But Varsho is going to be a guy that we talk about. Like I said 10, 12 episodes ago, Jesse, are you new to the Blue Jays? You want to kind of pick a player to like Dalton Varsho, because he's going to do great things on the field. And he keeps performing. Of course, you would like to see more consistent average numbers, but Jesse, I really got no gripe with this guy.
Just going through his game log here, looking back through the last 3 games against the Boston series too. He's on a 6-game hitting streak, Riley. He's got 2 hits in 5 of those 6 games. The only one he didn't was game 1 of this series. He's got RBIs in 6 straight games. He's even got a stolen base in there. And I do want to say too, it was something cool about PNC, because I've only ever seen games live at the Rogers Center before. When he hit that ball and it went over the 21-foot fence, it went 20 plus rows back out of the seats. It literally left PNC Park. I have never seen something like that ever before in person. And according to the people at PNC Park, that was the 68th person to ever hit a home run into the Allegheny River. Only 5 have ever done it on the fly, for what it's worth. The last person to do it on the fly was Josh Bell. I don't remember what year it was, but he did it on the fly. But Dalton Varsho, the first ever Toronto Blue Jay to hit a baseball into the Allegheny River. So good for you, Dalton Varsho. Like, that's really good. And if this is the guy that we're getting, it's really going to strengthen out that lineup and can be good things for the Blue Jays going forward.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. He's going forward. Dalton Varsho is going to be very good. As far as the hit streak and RBI streak goes, I mean, I don't see you know, who knows? You know, baseball's funny some ways. A hit streak would be nice, because that means, Jesse, that he is consistently accumulating hits. Might bust open his average, give him more of a reason to hit at that top of the order. You know, prove your worth. Hey, the Blue Jays have a great offense. On a bad team, he might be hitting third every single day, Jesse.
Yeah, 100%, dude. And like, it was good that when Vladdy came down, they moved Varsho to the 3-hole, and he still produced, which is exactly what you want. Get a guy to step up when your big guys can't perform. Before we move to the negatives, Riley, we haven't talked pitching at all this series. So what are your thoughts on the 3 starters that went? Chris Bassett, Jose Barrios, and Yusei Kikuchi. Do you have a thought on any or on all of them and how they performed here?
Well, Jesse, when you get 3 starting pitchers with, you know, over 6 innings pitching, their names are Jose Barrios and Yusei Kikuchi. Now, Barrios and Kikuchi didn't go 7 like Bassett. They went 6 1/3. So, I mean, hey, when you say that Barrios went 6 1/3, there's a possibility, did he get lit up around that time? Well, no, he didn't get lit up in that time. He struck out 7, only surrendering 6 base runners, 2 earned runs to his line. Very good. But Bassett was kind of the weakest for me, who still had a tremendous start. He allowed 4 hits and 4 walks for 8 base runners, so striking out 5. The thing with Bassett, though, he did lose a little bit of control. I feel like Bassett's strike zone has kind of been a little bit shoddy at some points. I don't think all things are fair. That's the game of baseball, though. You're not always going to get it your way. But nonetheless, Jesse, he still had a quality start in a very good line. And Yusei Kikuchi, not a typical Yusei Kikuchi start by any means. I mean, 2 walks and 6 1/3 for Yusei Kikuchi. I would say that's very good. And he only gave up 4 hits. The funny thing with Yusei Kikuchi in this start is he only struck out 3 hitters. He was still surrendering a lot of soft contact and actually some hard contact, but it just happened to stay in the park. It just happened to stay in the park, and it's kind of the luck aspect of that. Did the Blue Jays pitchers get lucky in this series? Yes, at certain times they did, minus Bassett's strike zone at some points. But I believe, there was obviously all 3 starting pitchers pitched a tremendous game, but also the luck factor that goes into it also played a big role. The baseball gods looked down on the back half of this Toronto Blue Jays rotation and said, okay, boys, let's cut you a break. You're going into Pittsburgh. Let's kind of, give you a quality start, nothing crazy, no double-digit strikeouts. Brios sitting down 7, that's pretty good. And I'm convinced Jose Brios has got some identical twin that pitches almost every other time, where one of them is just really bad. And that's kind of the middle Jose Brios. That is more of the Jose Brios that I expected. I mean, just over a strikeout an inning, like not giving up a ton of walks and not really getting barreled up. To me, this is like 2019 to 2020, like Minnesota Twins Jose Brios, where he looked quite good and looked like at one point where he could have. I mean, there was a conversation I would have had, 4 or 5 years ago, where there's a conversation where I would have said by this time Jose Brios could be the best pitcher in baseball. That discussion is years gone now. He is not there. But for what he did in this start versus the Pirates, I will kind of think higher of him as this goes on. Still, the leash on him is very short. But all in all, Jesse, tremendous job from our starting pitchers. I mean, you look at the scores in these games, what else can you say? But I do think there was an element of luck, but all pitchers were on their game. And I mean, we walked away with the sweep, Jesse. You couldn't have asked for anything more out of these 3 guys.
Just to go back on that luck factor that you pointed out, the Pirates did make 3 outs on the bases behind Chris Bassett, and the 4 walks is alarming. But hey, at the end of the day, 7 innings pitched, no runs allowed, and that brings his ERA to 2.45 over his last 6 starts. That'll work for Chris Bassett. We'll take that. And I did have a note on Yusei Kikuchi. You did say he did allow some hard contact. He did. The defense did play quite well behind Yusei Kikuchi. He wasn't missing as many bats. The thing that I didn't love is that his fastball usage was up. And we were telling Kikuchi, like, use your slider more, use your changeup more. He used his fastball a lot more. And I don't know if that was by design, because I don't know if that's going to be how he's going to get success going forward. So let's watch for that in his next start against Atlanta to see how Yusei Kikuchi pitches. But overall, good pitching performances. Every sweep has good pitching performances, and the Blue Jays got it here. There was one player on the roster, Riley, that I guess didn't really have a good performance. And, when you outscore your opponents 22-3, it's going to be hard to try to find a negative. But we do got to talk about Jimmy Garcia. In fact, we had a fan on our Twitter tweeted us today saying that he thinks it's time to send Jimmy Garcia down. Now, you and I both don't think that's going to happen. His stuff is still too good. Relief pitchers are still... they're volatile, right? They can have a really good year one year and then they're kind of terrible the next. And it's just what happens with relief pitchers. And it's probably why you haven't seen the Jays go out and give big money to a relief pitcher either. But here's what happened in the game today. He was the first guy in the bullpen when Yusei Kikuchi gave up a double and got pulled in. He got out of the inning, no problem. They left him out to start the top of the 8th. He gave up single, double, got an out, and then gave up another single. 2 runs came in. He ran into some trouble before Jordan Romano had to kind of bail him out of there. And, it's 2 or 3 shaky appearances now in a row for Jimmy Garcia. I guess, what's your concern level for him, and where in the bullpen pecking order do you slot him?
So this will be my highest concern level. I think I've said, for me right now, it might be an 8 for Jimmy Garcia.
Hey.
I have not been a fan. I really have not been a fan of him in let's say the last 2 weeks of appearances. I think there's been a time, there was a gut feeling I had. Not in this game, but there had been a series of gut feelings I had after his last few appearances, and some of those, I mean, were kind of the same telltale. Like you surrender a walk, you give up hard contact, a sac fly, and then maybe another hit. I mean, he pitched a full inning, but he just, you surrender 4 base runners. I mean, your whips, whatever. If we're going walks and hits per inning, well, it's a 4 whip game. That's kind of unacceptable for the standard. I mean, obviously that's going to, level out as the season goes. But is it if you're Jimmy Garcia? Because his numbers are certainly, I mean, not reflecting who he is as a ball player. I mean, he's a damn good pitcher. Let's not kid ourselves, but he has certainly been struggling. And I don't know what the issue is, because I mean, velocity seems fine as a relief pitcher.
Yeah.
Control, yes. I will admit, I think the control is down. I don't know if he's putting too much pressure on himself or what, but they're finding ways to hit Garcia. And he does have pretty good breaking stuff to go along with an already whippy fastball. Yeah. And where I would rank him, I'll bring the guy up later. I mean, Pearson, I thought looked good. I'm sure you have, stuff on Nate Pearson. I'm not going to put that, and I'm just shout out another new guy, this Jay Jackson. I thought for me, the best relief pitcher in the series was Tim Meza. Yes. Personally, I thought Meza in his inning of work, like 3 strikeouts, and they were, I think, 2 were swinging strikeouts. They looked really good, and they weren't just against lefty bats as well. It was against a good part of that Pittsburgh order. Well, a good part of the Pittsburgh order. Let's just put that in an asterisk. I mean, it is the Pirates, and no hate to them, but it is also Tim Meza. So I was very impressed at what he did. And hey, man, I don't know. I still not a big on Richards, Bass, but I'm not convinced Garcia is down with them just yet.
Yeah, I'm not either.
I'm a lover of Eric Swanson, man. I am a straight up lover of Eric Swanson. And if I can, Jesse, just for a moment of your time, go over how good Eric Swanson has actually been. His walks and hits per inning, because I like a good whip, is 0.72. Woo! 0.72, Jesse, for Eric Swanson. And I mean, just on that, and a 1.6 earned run average, 1.62 earned run average. But when you're surrendering just like pretty much under 3/4 of a hit or a walk in an inning, I mean, he's giving you a chance to win ball games, man. And I think he has 8 holds on the season right now. I think that puts him in pretty good competition for holds as a season. I know they're not as important as saves. I mean, if you want to talk about importance of saves, Jordan Romano also tied for 3rd place with 9 right now. And I would guess Eric Swanson with 8 holds is a very valuable number league-wide. I knew he was going to do good things. He's kind of, had a good season going for him, but I don't think people realize how good it has been for him. So, anyways, to finish about Garcia, I'll talk about Eric Swanson to draw attention away from him. I'm not really, too stressed about the bullpen, but certainly in a high leverage situation right now, I don't want Garcia anywhere near it, because these games were what they were. It's honestly a little bit overshadowed what Garcia did. And I'm going to just sweep it right under the rug for right now. I'm still very concerned. We still just walked out of Pittsburgh with a sweep, and I'm very happy. So I'm not going to poo-poo all over Garcia. But yes, you want him to straighten it out from there.
Yeah, I agree. Just give him some lower leverage time for the time being. I'm looking at the stats here, Riley, and it seems like he's just getting hit harder. And that usually is a location thing. His stuff is still the same. His expected stats kind of have him closer to the 2021 Jimmy Garcia than the 2022 Jimmy Garcia. But that's still not a bad pitcher. So from looking at this, just maybe the location gets a little bit better, and he's going to be okay. I'm confident he's going to turn it around. Let's just get him in lower leverage for the time being so we can build that confidence up. And Eric Swanson, Riley, tied for first with 8 saves in the American League, is tied with James Karinchak and Brian Baker. The major league leader is Colin Holderman, which a guy named Holderman leading baseball in holds. That just sounds fantastic, but story for another day, maybe on another podcast. But I did want to tell you one story. And for the first time, I'm giving myself a thumbs down, Riley. And 2 things. One, because last episode, we didn't mention Matt Chapman being a player of the month. Like, we have a Blue Jays podcast. How do we not mention that? So my fault. I'll give myself a thumbs down. But I want to talk about in game 3 of this series. It was in the top of the 9th when the Blue Jays scored 5 runs. I've been going to baseball games for years, Riley, and I have never caught a foul ball ever in my life. But our seats were pretty good. We were behind the Blue Jays dugout for this series, and I had a chance, Riley. And in the top of the 9th, Bo Bichette was leading off the inning. He got to a 2-2 count. He hit one to the opposite field like he always does. It was a good fastball. He fouled it off. The ball came, it ricocheted off the side of the 200 level and came right towards me, Riley. It was literally in my chest. I had the ball, and I think you can kind of tell where this is going. I reached out. The ball hit me right here on the hand and dropped right into the guy's lap behind me. He picked up the ball and he got it, and I'm still without my first foul ball. I was this close to finally getting one, but it didn't happen. So thumbs down from me. I should have caught that ball, Riley.
You are so lucky I didn't see that, Jesse.
Yeah.
You are so lucky I didn't see that.
I checked the footage too to make sure like Sportsnet didn't broadcast this and it was on there. It's like, nope, Bo Bichette just fouled it off and they kept talking about Bo Bichette's swing. So it wasn't on video, thank goodness, but it happened.
It happened, and we're going to get over it. And on that note, Jesse, just on things that I personally want to talk about, because we're just over a month in this season now. Bo Bichette, yeah, foul ball, whatever. But 49 hits leads all of Major League Baseball right now. How about that, Bo Bichette, Jesse Burrell? He has been absolutely fantastic. And I've said it multiple times, that he's going to lead the American League in hits again. I said 200 hits, and he is certainly trying to get that mark.
Yeah, this is the best he's ever looked. Like, this is the best
it's fantastic, Jesse. And if it wasn't for a guy who I guess needed a change of scenery going to the tropical state of Florida, that Luis Arias playing for the Miami Marlins. If it wasn't for his .420 batting average, Matt Chapman would have the best average in all of baseball, but currently holds it in the American League, which is great. And like I said, Romano Swanson with their hold, save, whatever combination, it's a no-brainer that should be the 8-9 guys. Also on the brink of Matt Chapman, he's in the top 4 for on-base percentage and slugging. I mean, what else would you expect? And 17 doubles as well. He's going to ring 40 doubles off this year. He might not have 40 home runs like I once said, but 40 doubles would be excellent for Matt Chapman. And a 2.1 WAR puts him first in all of Major League Baseball and wins above replacement, Jesse. How do you like that? This Blue Jays team is really coming together. I mean, Tampa Bay's record might show that they have the best, obviously shows they have the best record as a team right now, but our statistics really don't, I think, replicate our record right now. I think that we are one of the best teams. I think we're a top 3 team in baseball as of right now. If you look at how our bottom guys pitched in that Pirates series, Jesse, I think that the rest of the league is looking around and saying, damn, we have to be sharp when we play against the Toronto Blue Jays, because even Kikuchi looked awesome. Barrios seemed to look good. And Chris Bassett, yes, the 4 walks, whatever. Like, he still looked good. He still threw 7 innings. He still had a quality start, and he had an incredible amount of run support. So, I mean, hey, I would say I'm on the inside looking out, not on the outside looking in, but I would say we're a very feared ball club. Even if it is the Pittsburgh Pirates, we're in the toughest division in baseball, and we look good right now. I know we just got swept by the Red Sox, but all things considered, Jesse, individual stats, if you combine them all to see what our pitchers and hitters are doing, Jesse, we are a force to be reckoned with, especially our big guns.
Yeah, and if you want to look across the division too, because we haven't really done a big picture look for this Toronto Blue Jays yet, the Tampa Bay Rays have played the most home games out of any other team in baseball, and Baltimore's right there behind them. I think the Jays have only played, I think it's less than 40% of their games so far have been at Rogers Center at home. So the Blue Jays are going to be better at home. They've been fantastic at home so far this year. And then after we get through this big stretch, it's about another month or so of really tough competitive teams. The Blue Jays schedule gets incredibly easy. So we are poised. You know, you got to play who's on your schedule. I get it. Every team's going to play every team, but like, we are incredibly poised to go on a big second half run here and possibly claim this division. So even though we're 7 games back of the Rays right now, I'm still not worried. I'm not even worried one bit. I am still quite confident this Toronto Blue Jays team is going to end up AL East champs at the end of the year.
I have all the confidence in this team right now, maybe not on individual players at all times, but as a 26-man team, on the guys on the field, the guys in the bullpen, the guys that's toeing the rubber to start off the ball game. I have faith in it. I have faith in John Schneider, and I have faith in his Blue Jays team and what lineups he's put together. I mean, hey, we've seen a lot of different lineups, a lot of variations. We got some new lefty bats in the lineup. We've been doing a lot of cool things with this team, and it is a very cool team. A lot of diverse talent, 1 through 9, and you love to watch them. Jesse, you went to one of the most exciting, maybe not competitive series, but you went to one of the most exciting. If you want to watch guys pad their stats, I mean, you watch Varsho hit that into the river. You watch Whit Merrifield steal 3 bases in a ball game. That's exciting baseball, man.
Mm-hmm.
And the Blue Jays bring exciting baseball to Major League Baseball.
I will say we're running out of time here, so I just got to wrap this up quick. I will say, guys, if you get a chance to go into PNC Park, do it. I want to say thank you to all the Blue Jays fans I met there, to all of our new subscribers. I told you to subscribe to the podcast down there. Thank you for joining us. It was a hell of a time, a lot of fun, met a lot of good people down there, and I'm excited to see it. And you got to go, man. If you ever get a chance to go to PNC Park, the history they have there, the statues they have around the diamond, you know, Pittsburgh has been around for a long, long time. And I know their team hasn't been so great over the past 20 years or so. Some rich history with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it's been fantastic to see. And I'm excited to go to the next ballpark. I think I'm planning a trip to Fenway next season. So I'm really looking forward to that, Riley. I guess really quick, we got an off day today, hence why we're recording today. And then we have a little 2-game mini series against the Phillies. Game 1, Alek Manoah against Aaron Nola. Game 2, Kevin Gausman against Zach Wheeler. So some good pitchers in this series. Just give me really quick, how are we going to do in this 2-game series?
I'll take a split. I will take a split. I think if we lost the game 2-1 and won a game 2-1, Jesse, and we come back here in 3 days or 2 nights and talk about it, and there's not a lot of runs scored, but we see a good start by all our pitchers, 5 in a row. You know, if Gausman and Manoah both go 6 innings, I mean, that's good. That is really good. I'm really hoping for that. We could lose like I said, we could lose 2-1. And then win 2-1, and I would be over the moon at it because of the pitching that we've got in 5 consecutive games.
Yeah, it should be good. It's always good. The Jays and Phillies know each other quite well. They're our natural rival, if you will. So it'll be a good thing before we get home and play Atlanta. But that'll be it for our episode here today, guys. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. A lot of good stuff coming from the Toronto Blue Jays against the Pittsburgh Pirates there. Very good series. Lots of fun. Go if you can ever get to go. It's very good. But please, like the video on your way out here, guys. Subscribe to the channel. We are 2 episodes away from our 100th episode, and we're going to do something fun for that one when we do get there. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that fun stuff. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Riley, anything else to add before we get out of here today?
No, let's take on the Phillies, and a happy birthday to my mother as well, it being May the 8th. Yes. So, yeah, happy birthday, Mom. Let's go Blue Jays.
Let's go Blue Jays indeed.